What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and another Hero Spotlight. Today we're going to be talking about the Proton Charge EV2, and we're talking about the endgame variety, although you can use the Proton Charge all the way up through the ranks, from when the EV2 is just a little baby, all the way up to Chaos 7. Of course, you're really going to shine once you get the full shard package. Let's go ahead and take a look at the EV2's Proton Charge. Now, first off, the Dragolich is definitely the pet you are going to want to use, as it's going to double all damage done to the target, which of course does affect ability power defenses, or pardon me, ability power abilities, or ability power attacks, like the Proton Charge. All about that Drago, and that is going to allow you to just rip off some very, very impressive numbers. With lucky strings of crits, I do see it capping up over top of the 10 mil range while Drago is active, and that is just mean as can be. Now, an important thing to note about the Proton Charge now, and really one of the main reasons I've been using it quite more frequently in Chaos 7, and that is the shot has changed with the animation. For those veteran players from early access, you remember that the Proton Charge would not actually shoot until the EV was fully in position. Now all you have to do is just start the animation. You don't have to get into position at all, so you can Proton a little over here, Proton a little over there, and then Proton a little over here, if you really want to. Now, on that same note, you can leave the position instantly as well, and, you know, pretty easy just to go in and out of them and do the little EV2 Proton dance. Now, I have been having just an absolute ton of fun, and one of the biggest reasons is, of course, the Proton Charge is going to scale best with ability power and hero crit. It no longer gets any benefit from hero damage whatsoever. And with all that hero damage, or pardon me, with all that hero ability power and hero crit damage, it's going to allow you to really use all of the EV2's abilities effectively. Now, there's one downside to the Proton Charge, and that is it is ineffective against rollers. And the reason being is the roller takes damage, of course, in that sweet spot right in the back. The Proton Charge is going to pierce enemies. So since it's piercing, it's actually hitting the center of the target and not in that sweet spot back where the siege roller needs to take all that damage. Now, in exchange for that, of course, we are full ability power and hero crit, so in light of that, our bots do just a very nice amount of damage, even though there's only 3 of them. If we take a look just at our 3 bots right here with Drago, it's still going to wreck out, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 19 million damage really, really quickly, just with the 3 bots and Dragolich. Now, of course, if you have time to set up all 3 behind a roller, if it's stuck on a wall, with the Dragolich shot, that is going to just make it absolutely good game for that siege roller. Now, as I mentioned, it is a ability power hero crit build, and since we're in Chaos 7, gotta have hero health in the mix. Now, I personally have been doing what just feels so wrong in going with the celebration. The reason I say it feels so wrong is, as you just witnessed, the bots are a lot harder to hit with celebration, and although the heat reduction has been normalized quite a bit, the celebration definitely seems like the slowest of all the bunch to burn the heat down. Now, the reason I'm still going with the celebration is I just cannot, I'm having the hardest time giving up that 8200 ability power. If we look at some of these other canisters I have with ability power on them, they're just nowhere near that. I think the closest one is like 1000 ability power away. So, I mean, it's really difficult to give up that much ability power. However, if you did have a good ability power, hero crit, and hero health roll, on a McManus, I would probably use that all day. Now, of course, you're not going to get up to that 8200 mark like you can get with the Wayfarer weapons. However, if you did get a high roll on it, say 7400 range, I'd be all over that McManus just for that extra shard slot, as really, in my opinion, the homing projectile shard from the Celebration, I hate to say it, but it just feels like an absolute waste, to be honest with you. However, I'm lured in by that 8200 ability power, so I still find myself using it. Now, the shards I'm using are Proton Supercharge, and this is a 100% necessary shard for this build. Not necessarily for the additional 210% of your ability power stat as damage, but mainly for that max range being increased by 25%. That is just huge, and that's going to help extend your proton beams out there, or pardon me, your proton charge, so it is really getting the job done. Now, I'm also using the heat dispenser module, where EV2 upgrades her gun with a new heat dispenser module that drains 40% more heat with each primary attack. Now, moving right along to the headpiece, Mana Capacitor is another shard that I personally always go with, and it's what I would recommend. As far as other shards in the head, use whatever you want. Mana Capacitor is the thing you need, and although it is named after mana, you see I do have 300 heat, or a 300 heat allowance, and Mana Capacitor is what's going to get me to that point. Now, in the chest, I like to use Mind Blast Radius, Anti-Gravity Bot Damage Radius increased by 40%, Mind Heat Compensator, where it reduces the cost of the anti-gravity bots by 40%, and Bulwark, which increases my armor by 40%. Now, all I'm using the bots for is just either 1 to play around or 2 to kill siege rollers. However, these shards, to me, still seem like the best in slot. Moving over to the gloves, we're going Critical Strike, increases hero crit chance by 10%, Construction, and Flaming Retribution. Now, let me tell you, if this shard, Proton Flame Charge, ever gets introduced back into the game, put it in, because it's really good. However, I'm not going to use it because I don't like to use a shard that powerful that is no longer available. And then in the boots, we're going to go with Speed Boost, which is the given. Dummies and Bots, Death from Above spawns those 4 grab bots, and then Insulated Decoy to reduce the amount of heat generated from Death from Above by 40%. Now, the main 2 abilities I use in this build are without a doubt Proton Charge, of course, and Death from Above. So I definitely wanted to maximize what I got out of those 2 abilities more than anything else. Now, a lot of people would say, hey, why not go hero damage instead of hero crit and use the big boy instead? And in my opinion, you're just losing out on too much crit damage for it to be worth that 1 extra bot that scales off of hero damage and actually doesn't hit as hard as a regular bot if you're in full ability power. As far as the Ascension Tree goes, you just follow a standard issue hero Ascension build, and your first 20 points always, no matter what, has got to go into hero crit chance. That is just good stuff. On the EV2, you're definitely going to want to go ahead and head on up to your heat capacity next. I personally would go run speed after that, as movement speed is one of the greatest quality of life things in the game. And then finally, to round it all out, put any remaining points you have into hero crit damage. The defense category, of course, does not apply, as we're talking a DPS hero. And then the offense category. Straight up Proton Charge damage. Stack it up, whether you're 1 Ascension, 500 Ascension, or 2000 Ascension. Get your Proton Charge damage maxed out very first thing. I personally, after that, always go directly into the decoy explosion damage, as that's the damage that's done by the decoy from Death from Above when it expires. Then I'm going into bots, and of course, since we're in Chaos 7 and I'm not using hero damage, I did go full hero health before I touched the hero damage ability. The Proton Charge can be a lot of fun, very, very effective in all Chaos tiers, and the EV's abilities themselves are very versatile, a really good time to use, and just takes a little practice to kind of master all the movements and the bot detonations as quickly as you can. So that will do it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Click that like button and please subscribe to the channel, and there's actually going to be a couple more EV2 builds coming your way real soon. As you all know, I love my Robo Girl, and I'm just finding every single way to play with her that just leads to a really, really good time in a very effective manner that will get the job done without question. So thank you again, and I will see ya.